Yo, today I'm gonna give my thoughts on Edge of Fate and basically the whole expansion. Even if we don't have like half the expansion yet, but I still think now that we have the raid, it's a good enough point to give like even a slight review. So that's what I'm gonna do today. So I'm gonna start with the story. Going into this, I did not think the story would be very interesting or anything really, but I knew that the story had to be very interesting because this starts the next saga of Destiny, obviously. And if you don't have a good story, all the expansions after would fall, and with the state of the game already, it needed a good story. So the story, um, no spoilers, but the story was really good. I think story easily probably my top two stories. I'm not sure where exactly I have it yet, but I enjoyed it way more than a lot of the stories in D2, I would say at least. I think I would even place it above Witch Queen. And I know, like, for some people that's like a horrendous thing, but I definitely think it's better than Witch Queen. Witch Queen overrated. Um, the story itself was really good. It starts off slow because you obviously have to put a lot of things. You have to lay the groundwork a lot in the beginning, but in the later half of the story, it really picks up, and I think it ends off pretty well, and leads it easily leads to show what the next few years of the game will be. Um, but while the story was good, I don't think the gameplay for the story missions was the best. It was a lot of Matter Spark and like puzzles. And I personally didn't mind it, but that's probably because I was a duo and I really didn't like pay attention to much of the shit except for actually the story. So, but I don't mind Matter Spark. I don't think it's as terrible as people say it is. I'm glad it wasn't incorporated into the raid. I do think that would have been pretty bad. Uh, but yeah, I wouldn't say the gameplay was the best. I think the game feels better, even though like a lot of things are like tanky and like bullet sponges now. There's a lot more difficulty, especially in Mythic, which I'll probably get into later. But the story gameplay itself, I wouldn't say is the best, but the story I would say is like probably top tier. Um, so with there not being much to do this year or this expansion, the main pulling point is the power leveling and power grinding. Um, so this time around, you power level by doing activities in the portal, and it's really just the activities of the portal. And I don't mind it. It is kind of brain numbing, but I'm not usually sitting there actually actively focusing on the grind. But I think the biggest issue with it is that there isn't really anything new in the portal or anything. There's no dungeons, there's no raids. It's actually just really all old activities. So, and it's kind of ironic because in the new expansion, you have to do old things. Bungie's already said that in September with Ash and Iron, that dungeons are going to be put into the rotator, I think, or into the portal. Which okay, but I feel like you really needed the heavy hitters like to set up now because this is people's first impression of the power grind. And right now I am 400, but I'm not sure if they'll leave it as tedious as it is now. Which I don't mind it right now because I think getting tier fives is not a need; it's a want. And you don't have to do this. You don't have to power grind and do all that. But if you want the tier fives and like great stat rolls, then yeah, you gotta do all this. So I don't mind it, but I could see that a lot of the casuals definitely get turned off by it, so that would make them leave the game. Uh, but I think the tier chase, with power grinding, it's pretty mind numbing. But I can't lie and say I don't enjoy trying to get the higher tiers of loot because it feels really MMO like, you know. Uh, like really getting you get a tier four, tier five, you get a full set of tier fives. I mean, it would be actually really nice to like have a guardian with a full set of tier fives, and people inspect you and like, holy shit, how do you get all that? And it's like, you put in the work for it, obviously. So I hope Bungie doesn't change that aspect of the game because I actually really do enjoy having something to show off. If it's the latest, whatever. But I do enjoy having the oh my god, look at this, and the nice stat rolls and the tier fives, even if they're pretty much time getting how much you can grind right now. Uh, I don't. It's whatever. I expected them to do that because people they said this would take like 90 hours, and the second week already 400 people, 420. So yeah, I expected them to put a cap on it. Uh, is it the best thing? Is it good? No, but they did it. At the end of the day, can't complain about it anymore. Um, so yeah. Next I want to talk about the raid. In this raid, man, going into the raid, our team, me and my friend at least, but we didn't talk to the team too much, but we at least thought this was like another run because it wasn't looking too good. We thought they were going to like ease down. Like, how could they top Salvations, right? Like, Salvations easily one of the hardest day one raids we've had in Destiny ever. And we saw there was like some signs that we thought we were going in this to be Ron 2.0. And like, if this game had a Ron 2.0, the game would have died easily. If this raid failed, the game would not have made it. But we went into that and we got our ass beat. I think we spent 40 hours, and for the first time since Deepstone, we did not clear. And I think it's just really a consequence of us coming in not very prepped and not doing any practice. Because this team really had to make you show up in every aspect. Nobody could slack. Everybody had to do something. Everybody had to bring the damage. Nobody could be on ad clear. Everybody had to do something. And I think our team just wasn't ready for it, so we didn't clear. And saying that, it's like, yeah, the raid was fucking hard. The raid was really difficult. But even with how difficult it was, I don't think there would be a thing I would change about it. I think, as long as, like, I do regret not clearing, but I hope next year they keep the same level of difficulty or ramp it up even more. And I'll do my best next year to clear, because it was a fun experience, even if, but I'd say it would be one of my favorite raids. I don't like running in much because every time I'm in it, I'm like, yeah, we didn't clear. I don't have the fucking emblem. I don't have the rocket. First time I have to farm an exotic in years from a raid or a dungeon, but but yeah, it's a great raid though. Easily one of their best, but I think the raid race was not the best because the amount of bugs that the game had from launch till raid, and even still now, like, Bungie's working on it, but the amount of bugs was crazy. I think the raid race is easily one of the worst. It's probably up there with Val. At least, like, Val's worse because you couldn't play the game at all, right? But for Edge of Fate, you could play, but there were so many issues, like re-instancing, ammo not coming from flags, your super not coming from flags, the slow sprint, a lot of things that just threw runs you had to reset. And many teams even lost they lost the first place because of all these bugs from the game, right? So I think on that aspect it's been pretty bad. And I think overall with the game, the bugs and all that has been easily some of the worst. I do think it is an issue because Bungie did lay off most of their QA team, or I don't even know if they have a QA team, I'm not sure. But that, and also they've pushed, like, this was one of the biggest updates we've ever had. So things are, like, meant to go wrong, right? Like, there's just so much coming to the game. I think it would just be impossible to get everything right on first shot. It's just that the caliber of these bugs and how bad they were was really bad. But yeah, I think without any of these bugs, I think the raid race would have been way better. I enjoyed it nonetheless. It took like, what, 20 hours or something? I don't know exactly how long it took for World's First, but it was easily an enjoyable raid, and I hope it's just as difficult or even more difficult next year. Because it was everybody streamed, not many screens blacking out. It was really fun, but yeah. What else is there? I think as an expansion itself, the game, it doesn't come with a lot. Like, we don't have a new strike, and aside from Kepler, I think, like, the best way to level right now is the portal, which is not an issue. But the thing with the portal is, I feel like it should come second place to the new destination. I think the destination should come first for leveling to incentivize people to be on it, right? Like, we put Kepler into the planet, we put all these time into, like, Matter Spark, all the abilities, right, that are only locked to the planet, just for the planet to be, like, probably the worst way to level. Like, you can get 1 tier or 2 tier 5s, I think, from it, guaranteed from there, but that's really it. You do the mythic missions, easily some of the hardest things in the game. Like, the quarantine mission, oh, dude, that shit's terrible. But easily some of the worst things in the game. And you finish it and you get planetary materials. And it's like, yeah, you can focus it, but it's like, you're putting all this time, maybe 30 minutes to an hour, if you're under leveled to complete this mission and you don't even get loot, it's pretty like unrewarding. Doesn't even make you want to do it besides for an emblem. It's a cool emblem, but like still at some point you need some actual tangible loot, right? But yeah, the Portal, my thoughts on the Portal. I actually enjoy the Portal a lot. I think I've played the game a lot more because of the Portal, because it does let you come into the game and just like, oh, I have 10 minutes, I'll do this real quick, or like I'm gonna play some crystals right here, blah blah blah. I do think like raids and dungeons need to be in there, just because that's some of the pinnacles of Destiny, and it's like without that too, I don't think Destiny would even be here today. Especially with them ramping up the quality of the dungeons and the raids. We are going down to one raid and one dungeon a year, but I think it's fine because the quality seems to be coming out, quality over quantity. But I know it's still a pain point. I would love more raids a year, but if the raids are on quality with Desert Perpetual or higher, then I'm fine with it, really, you know? And we have the Epic raid in September. That's having a raid race as well. It was explained as like Moments of Triumph from D1, if anybody's around for that, like a type like that. And so I'm excited to see what that is, because this raid was already painfully tough, so I can't wait to see how that is. But yeah, I think the Portal, it lacks from not too many activities and most of it being old. Like, you know, the fastest way to level, it is a mission on Kepler, but it's just one mission. There's another mission from the moon, a lost sector that, you know, every player probably knows. There's not really new things. You know, the fastest way to grind was Encore, something from a year ago. And it's like, yeah, it doesn't leave a good taste in your mouth whenever you pay 40 for an expansion, come in, and the best way to grind is to play old things. It needs more things in there. And I feel like more of Kepler should have been implemented into that. Like, Kepler doesn't have any lost sectors. There's the activity, but it's like an hour and a half, and then it comes and then it leaves 30 minutes and then comes back hour and a half again. It's not the best because it's like the planet actually has no activity by itself until that timer's out, which I don't mind too much. But I've obviously seen some people, they want it to be there all the time. But I think the activity gives really good loot for the time it is available, which I'm fine with. But yeah, I don't mind the Portal. A lot of people don't like it. I think it can use some tweaking. Obviously, I think the power grind, I think it just suffers because there's not many new activities in there. I think it is just a bunch of old things, which, you know, nobody wants to get a new expansion to go play Encore. Like, it's become a meme in the community about, oh, what did we name our daughter? And if, like, you know, you know. But it's gotten pretty bad. They've nerfed it. They've taken out of the game because of another bug. And when it comes back, it'll probably be the best way. Again, right now, Starcross is pretty good for farming. If not, you just do solo Caldera. That's really it. But I really enjoyed the expansion. I don't really care about player numbers too much, but they're pretty much down. They're back to where they were at, like, during Heresy, which was the season before this expansion, which isn't a really good sign because we're still in the same month of the expansion, and if player numbers are down that much, it's like, it's not a good sign. Especially when the expansion launched, the peak was drastically lower. Like, I think the final shape was 350k or 340k or something, and this was like maybe 100k. I think we peaked with the raid. The raid peaked the numbers, which is a good sign because it's a phenomenal raid. But yeah, I think they might end up neutering down the power grind to make it more digestible for casuals. But I hope they don't make tier 5s feel like everywhere you look you'll see them, like exotics. Because I really enjoy having the prestige or the tier behind it. It's like, you put in the time for this, you deserve to show it off, right? But yeah, for my overall review of it, I'd probably say the expansion is like a 7 or 8, but the story I would say is easily like a 9 or a 10. The story is really good, and I think Lodi himself is easily one of the best, maybe if not the best introduced character into Destiny in a very long time. I think his character is a great involvement point for newer players, because for veterans it's like, yeah, we already know all this, but for newer players, you can see through him and see how he acts, and you have the same questions as he does and acts the same way he does. So I think it's pretty good in that aspect. And just his character, the voice acting is really good. Some people said Ikora was jarring because the SAG-AFTRA strikes, Ikora wasn't able to record her voice lines. So they had Savathun's voice actor record the lines for her, and a lot of people said it was jarring, but honestly, I think there were points where she was doing such a good job, I forgot that the voice actor was actually different. Like, the voice acting this expansion was actually phenomenal. I think voice acting wise, I think it stood out to me way more than Final Shape did, easily. Um, and then the soundtrack, I think this was our first expansion without Michael Salvatore. And ironic as it might sound, he's an incredible composer. He makes some of the things he made Deep Stone Lullaby incredible. But I think this soundtrack definitely stood out to me a lot more. Maybe it's because I'm a volume at like 10, but I don't know. But a lot of it sounded so good. Like a lot of the soundtrack I would go back through. I'm probably going to go add it to one of my playlists. But a lot of it's really good. And the final boss of the raid, his theme, phenomenal shit. I don't know how they did it, but they've cooked. And it looks for at least, I think, Renegades or the next expansion after it. He's coming back. Salvatore's coming back. And I'm excited to see how they work together because I think this soundtrack is easily one of my favorites. Like, I can't say too much. I remember much of the Final Shapes soundtrack. It was good though, but I can't remember much of it. Maybe it could be recency bias, but I think Edge of Fate soundtrack is actually phenomenal. I don't think there's a single theme I heard that I was like, doesn't sound too good. All of it was amazing from start to finish, and including the raid. We don't have all the content yet for the expansion. We have the major update coming in September, which continues the story and it'll have a new activity in the epic raid. So we'll see how that is. We can't really speak fully on if you're getting your money's worth. I think right now, if you do like look at it, I would say you aren't, because you buy it, you get story, destination, and raid. And that's really it. Majority of the new things is quality of life, like the gear changing, the stats, all that changing. It's all free, so majority of it is free. But for 40, I think it's a fine price. I don't think people saying it should have been 20. I don't think an expansion will ever go to 20. But at least it's not like 60 or something. But yeah, I could talk about gears, about how gear changed. Everything's been changed over to a different stat. I think the build crafting scene has easily improved, but Bungie, they took away one mandatory stat and made another, because it feels like weapons is like pretty necessary in a lot of things if your build isn't ability based. A lot of the other stats though, they have pretty niche use cases, like for PvP. A lot of the stats are really useful, so it'll be hard like finding a gear set or building a set of armor that affects you in multiple positive ways, because like you need health, melee depends, nade you might need, super you definitely need, weapons right now it feels like a must in Crucible. And class is a little bit niche, but it all depends on like your class and everything. So I really enjoy it though, the build crafting. There's way more things, every point matters now, so it's not like you have to be at like a flat 0 for it to matter, because it used to be like, hey, if you're at 49 you're still at 4, and then but you need to go 50, and now it's like each point matters, gives you a different percent bonus, etc. I think with this though, loadout swapping has become more mainstream, you could say, even though I think loadout swapping has been like, if you were decent at the game, it was decent or good at the game, it was already a thing. But now I think it's coming to light for a lot of the casual players, and they don't like it. And I think I don't mind it. It's like, it's not hard to do. I think console players can do it fine, PC players can do it fine. It's just like maybe you need one loadout, maybe two. That's really it. But yeah, I would say the expansion itself probably an 8, 7 or 8, and the story 9 or 10. I'm not sure if I could recommend it right now, because there's still a lot of bugs, and I feel like if you're a casual player or you don't like MMOs, you won't like this expansion, because this expansion leans a lot into the build crafting MMO like style of the game, which the game's needed, and I feel like there's a player base for it, but I'm wondering how big that player base is, because you can't alienate too much of the player base. So we'll see how it turns out, what Bungie does with it. But I do think it's a good expansion. You could wait for it to go on sale. I think every other DLC in Destiny is on sale right now, so I would buy it. But Edge of Fate, it really depends. If you're an MMO player, you don't mind leveling, getting the high tier stuff showing off, and then it getting reset in a few months, then sure, go ahead. But yeah, yeah, that's just my review of it. I think it's pretty cool. I like it. But yeah, y'all have yourselves a good one.